The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 was the closest the world ever got to a nuclear war. Soviet nuclear arms could not reach America, however, American nuclear arms could reach Soviets, and hence the Soviets placed nuclear arms inside the territory of Cuba so that their arms may reach America. Cuban government allowed the Soviet nuclear arms to be placed inside their territory, as Cuba believed America was a threat. On the 22nd of October 1962, it was revealed to the American public that the Soviets had placed nuclear arms inside Cuba. On the 27th of October in the same year, an American spy plane was shot down over Cuba. The next day, October 28, Soviet leader Khrushchev announced the removal of the Cuban missiles as he believed America would no longer invade Cuba.
Australia sent a small unit led by Colonel Sarong, which arrived in the capital of South Vietnam on the 31st of July 1962. His small unit was a vanguard of Australia's decade-long involvement in the Vietnam War. Marilyn Monroe overdosed on sleeping pills on the 5th of August in the year 1962. She was found lying naked in her bed with an empty bottle of Nembutal sleeping pills next to her. There are many theories surrounding her death that she was murdered. However, it was labeled as a suicide due to lack of evidence in support of murder and reassuring evidence in support of suicide. Acute barbiturate poisoning caused her death. High standards of earnings coupled with home ownership schemes by the government and private organizations meant that the majority of the homes within the country were occupied by either owners or persons buying on installments. Post-war economy ensured a high level of employment and prosperity. Home ownership was encouraged by the government, which allowed for rates and taxes paid by a person occupying his home as allowable deductions from income for taxation purposes. Rental properties in Australia were not easy to obtain. Dwellings were available from time to time, but at relatively high prices.
Cars became readily available to the Australian population, meaning families were able to build their homes away from rail and tram lines. This is what caused the beginnings of the urban sprawl. Continuing affluence and cheaper building technology meant that Australians could afford larger homes. Second bathrooms and extra rooms became common. Many family built rumpus rooms and some houses had air conditioners. An increase in car ownership caused many houses to be built with carports and garages.
Mass production sided with a still booming post-war economy allowed for home appliances to become not only affordable, but also an essential part of daily life. Manufacturers during this period realized that if they were to continue to make high-quality products, consumers would have no reason to continue to buy their productions. With this notion in mind, home appliances were being designed to be thrown out and replaced constantly, forcing people to buy new appliances. Designs from home appliances started to hold more aesthetic properties. Many people like to display appliances in their lounge rooms as showworks, rather than hide them in the kitchen or laundry.
The Mini was a new type of car that was popular in 1962. The Mini was small, fast, easy to park, reasonably priced and well suited to the city life. Young women particularly voted on the Mini as they had begun to establish themselves in the workforce for the first time and also had financial means to purchase their own cars. Australians were travelling more internationally, particularly to America, Europe and Britain. The greater travelling allowed for Australians to get first-hand experiences of the cultures of other countries. These experiences allowed for ideas, fashions, trends and technologies from overseas to readily enter Australia. Railway lines between New South Wales and Victoria were standardised, allowing for railway travel between Sydney and Melbourne. Air travel offered a cheaper and faster alternative in comparison to the traditional sea travel. Luxury liners and more comfortable journeys via the sea were created. However, sea travel would continue to lose popularity as time progressed.
Television has taken hold as the most popular form of communication during the 1960 period. Television has changed the way Australians receive information, was quick to take over radio and cinema, and was seen as a threat to printed media. Television allowed for awareness and experiences of the rest of the world to enter Australian society. Satellites had revolutionized global communications. They acted as a bridge of information exchange within the world and instigated major change in television viewing and telephone communication. The first American satellite began to emit signals to Australia in 1962. Prior to that, Australian head tracking stations received signals from Russian satellites. The radio was rescued from impending doom from the television in the late 1950s, with the innovation of portable transmitter, which allowed the radio to escape the boundaries of home.
Some toys during the year of 1962 included
Yogi Bear, a jelly stone for $4.94. You could have all of Yogi and his friends in a plastic molded set.
Firebird 99 Dash. For $6.44 you could drive right along with Dad. The toy comes complete with a turning ignition key, a honking horn, adjustable mirrors, and turning knobs.
Flintstone pedal car for $23.88. You could own your own Flintstone convertible with simulated leopard skin canopy and prehistoric sculptured log body of tough plastic. It also boasts dual headlights and a beeping horn. Females. Wide, untie of colors, silhouette, and fabrics from American designers were commonly worn in Australia. The new free movement and femininity were expressed through the different types of clothing worn by women. The figure was made most noticeable during the year, with clothes being molded to cling to the body. Spring brought forth the little girl look, waists were tiny, sleeves long and tight, hip lines curved, and necklines plunging. Waistlines were the main theme of all collections. They were high and gentle, sashed lightly or singed with wide hilts. Jackets were short and clipped, while skirts whirled beneath in beautiful circles, minimizing the center of the figure. During fall, three silhouettes emerged: a skinned-down, sleek and tailored look, a blouse and map look, and a new natural outline achieved by a bias cut. Males. Trim, easy two-button suit was an important item of fashion during the year. The look was established by President Kennedy and allowed for more shoulder, more lapel, and more chest room, and also exposed more shirt and tie.
The first James Bond movie, Dr. No, was released in 1962. James Bond had to stop the evil Dr. No from disrupting Project Mercury spacecraft from Cape Canaveral with the use of his diabolical atomic-powered radio beam. James Bond is assisted by Coral and Honey. James Bond and one of his companions successfully destroy Dr. No's lair and hence his evil scheme. Atticus Finch is a lawyer in the racially divided town of Alabama in the 1930s. He agrees to defend a young black man who is accused of raping a white woman. The townsfolk try to get Atticus to pull out of the trial, but he decides to go ahead. To Kill a Mockingbird was first released in 1962 and touches the hearts of many individuals. During the Perth Olympic Games of 1962, Australia obtained 38 gold medals, 36 silver medals, and 31 bronze medals, amounting to a total of 105 medals. Murray Rose completed the 1500 meter freestyle in a time of 17 minutes 8.1 seconds, and Dawn Fraser completed the 400 meter freestyle in 4 minutes 51.4 seconds. The Beatles were an iconic rock group from Liverpool, England. They are frequently cited as the most commercially successful and critically acclaimed band in modern history, with innovative music, a cultural impact that helped define the 1960s, and an enormous influence on music that is still felt today. Currently, the Beatles are one of 2 musical acts to sell more than 1 billion records.
Bob Dylan. Folk rock singer-songwriter Bob Dylan was born Robert Allen Zimmerman on May 24, 1941 in Duluth, Minnesota. While attending college, he began performing folk and country songs, taking the name Bob Dylan. In 1961, Dylan signed his first recording contract. Showing no signs of slowing down, Dylan continued to tour in recent years, with his recent studio albums including Together Through Life 2009 and Tempest 2012. Shirley Bassey. Shirley Bassey was born on January 8, 1937 in Tiger Bay, Cardiff, Wales, to an English mother and a Nigerian father. She had her first British hit in 1957 with Banana Boat Song. She is best known for the theme songs she sang for James Bond movies, including Goldfinger and Diamonds Are Forever. In 2000, she was made a Dame Commander of the Order of...
British influences on Australia were overtaken by American influence as the decade progressed. The American way of life was projected into Australia by popular culture. It rapidly altered the way Australians spent their money, entertained themselves, dressed, and socialized. The reason for this being as America emerged from World War II as the dominant global economic power.